The things that we consider when forecasting the next quarter include capital gains tax payments, personal tax payments, for example, because they tend to be the lump sum figures that tend to damage your cash flow. If you don't consider them, you can really get a surprise.
So the main factors a company has to consider when forecasting for the next year is to look at the business drivers within the company. That will vary company by company, but a forecast that isn't based on business drivers isn't going to lead to accurate results.
Cash flow is one of the key things, but it's not the only thing to consider. There's always the ability to get short-term lending, be it a bank loan, an overdraft, things like that. But it is very key. You have to make sure that there is enough cash in the business for it to be sustainable. A key risk for growing businesses is what's known as overtrading. It's businesses that try and grow too quickly and they're not keeping a mind of their cash flow.
Well, the importance of cash flow is cash is king. You can be making lots of profit but actually have no cash. For example, you have to pay your staff every month. You may be making sales, but if you haven't received the money from your customers, you'll have no money to pay your staff. If you have no money to pay your staff, unfortunately, your business ends.
I mean, one of the key things with budgeting, and it's a conversation I'll always have with a client at the onset of starting a business, or even people who've been in business for years, is be mindful of your liabilities at the end of the year, because a lot of people make money and then they spend it, but they don't take into account that we've got tax to pay at the end of the year. The areas which is easiest to make cuts, most people would answer that by saying staff, and I think that's the wrong answer. From personally, in terms of my own business and in my client's business, I try to look at the admin costs. There's always alternative suppliers. There's always alternative suppliers who are more competitive.
Usually you can cut in a budget the discretionary spend. By discretionary, we mean spend that we don't have to take. So an example might be marketing spend or travel and entertainment. However, there are always impacts from doing so. For example, if you cut your marketing spend, it may affect your revenue. Or if you cut your travel and entertainment, it may affect the morale within your staff.
From a personal point of view, again, within my first year of trading, I had certain goals in terms of where I wanted my turnover, my profit to get to over the next, I had a 5-year plan. Now, I realised afterwards I was being very optimistic in terms of where I wanted to be. But again, I learned from that process, and it's just a matter of managing your expectation and making sure that you're capable of such growth. Again, going back to a previous point of overtrading, sometimes it's good that you don't get to a certain point where you want to get to, because your business can't handle it. Your business will grow as it's able to. If you suddenly take on 10 new staff and you quadruple your business, you might not have the skills and the infrastructure to handle that.